Welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm finally bringing you the July tier list for DC Dark Legion. I know it's a bit late, but that's because I've been redesigning the visuals for all the heroes. I also wanted to take my time and analyze everything carefully and wait until all the heroes for July were released. That way, the tier list would be more accurate since many heroes rely on each other to perform well. There have been quite a few changes in this month's tier list, so make sure to stick around. And and before we get started, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I've got tons of exciting videos coming your way. All right, let's get started. First, let's talk about the not yet spot. This is for a new hero who's expected to appear either later this July or in August. A lot of friends on Facebook have been saying it could be Ra's al Ghul. I'm not sure if that's true, but if it is, I think he'll probably belong to the League of Assassins faction. That's because he's known as a master assassin in the Green Arrow TV series, which I've watched. So that's just my guess, not confirmed. We'll have to wait and see if he makes it into the August tier list. Now let's move on to Tier D. Let me say this first. Tier D doesn't mean these heroes are useless or too weak. It simply means they don't perform well in PvP. To be more accurate, most heroes have their uses in certain game modes or specific situations. Let's start with Catwoman. She can be useful in boss fights because she steals attack, but only from one target, which makes her more suitable for single target scenarios like bosses. Next is Adam. He's in this tier because his ultimate can only be used once, and after that, he leaves the battlefield. So you need to time it just right. That said, his damage is actually pretty solid, and he can be used to control the enemy for one critical moment, giving your team an advantage. Black Canary has a silence skill, but honestly, it's not that helpful. If the duration was longer, maybe it'd be better. From what I've observed, her silence only affects ultimates. Other skills still work as usual, so her control in a team comp is quite weak. Stargirl is actually strong, but she's less popular now because many heroes can deal burst damage very quickly. Her ability to cleanse debuffs isn't that impactful anymore. By the time she's ready to use her ultimate and remove negative effects, your allies might already be gone. That said, she's still a decent pick in certain PvE situations. I've actually made a separate video about her. Check the comments section below to watch it. Next is Deadshot. His skills deal decent damage on paper, but when I've used him or when I've faced him, he just doesn't feel strong. His healing reduction effect is less relevant now because a lot of heroes deal so much damage that enemies don't even get a chance to heal. However, he can still counter heroes who rely heavily on healing, like Bane, Deathstroke, Harley Quinn, and Shazam. You can use this strength to take them down. I also made a video about Deadshot, so feel free to check it out after you finish this one. All right, let's move on to Tier C. If you pay close attention, you'll notice that many of the heroes here are ones I often use for boss fights and in the training simulator mode. However, I still rank them in Tier C because, to be objective, while their skills are strong, they're just not as powerful as those in higher tiers. Take Vixen, for example. Her main role is to boost attack. She can buff one ally and also give a team-wide attack boost. She's an offensive support, but she's melee, which makes it harder to keep her alive. Of course, there are better offensive supports like Zatanna, the Flash, and Superboy, but I use Vixen more often because she's a legendary hero, which makes it easier to star her up. I've also used her in PvP and found that she can support pretty well in the right setup. Next is Red Hood. He's strong with decent damage, and if you build the right team around him, he can survive longer and deal more damage. But the downside is that he jumps into the middle of the enemy formation, which makes him easy to take out, so I couldn't rank him any higher. Black Adam used to be really effective dealing damage in a straight line, but the problem is you can't control who he targets. And as the game has progressed, more heroes have come along with better damage output. Still, he can be good in PvP depending on your team and your opponent. If you want to target a specific enemy, just place him in the lane that lines up with that target. The Penguin from the Arkham faction actually deals decent damage, but his slow effect isn't that helpful in most cases. Other than Catwoman, I'd say he's the least useful member of the Arkham team, so I think his position here is justified. Captain Cold is another hero I use frequently in various game modes, especially in boss fights. His skill increases physical damage on targets with debuffs, which is very powerful, but it only works on a single target. If you want to use him in PvP, you should pair him with a strong finisher like Deathstroke. If they both focus on the same target, that enemy won't last long. Despite how powerful he is, I'm still placing him in Tier C simply because there are even stronger options. I mainly use him because he's easier to star up. Moving on to Red Robin, he's quite strong and probably the best tank available in the Batman family. But when compared to the overall power scale, he just can't compete with the top tiers. Last month, I also placed him in Tier C, and this month even stronger heroes have been introduced, so I had to keep him here. Lastly, we have Killer Croc, a big change in my tier list since I started making these videos. I've moved him up one tier. His usefulness within a Legion of Doom team has increased, and he's become a more reliable tank overall. However, I'm still keeping him in Tier C for now, because there's already another hero who can reduce all enemies' defense better than he can. Also, since he jumps into the middle of the enemy team, his survival rate isn't great, just like Red Hood. So I think this is the best spot for him at the moment. Alright, now let's move on to Tier B, a tier filled with heroes that many players love to use. These heroes are genuinely strong and work well in team compositions. First up is Aquaman. His signature skill pulls all enemies toward the center and briefly controls them. This is an essential ability for heroes who deal AoE damage but don't have a wide enough range to hit every enemy. For example, Supergirl only damages a small circular area, so she likely won't hit more than 3 targets. That's why heroes like Lex Luthor, Black Adam, and many others really benefit from Aquaman's skill. Next is Bane, an incredibly tough tank to take down. Most new players encounter Bane as a boss early on, so you already know how tanky he is. I've placed him in Tier B simply because, while he's good, there are even better options now. Batgirl and Robin, both from the Batman family, are strong and often used in combat. Robin is great at targeting backline enemies, though it's a bit random. But if Batgirl is supporting him, his critical rate goes up significantly, making him much deadlier. They're still in Tier B because they aren't that common in PvP, but they shine in PvE. Lex Luthor is a powerful backline damage dealer and a real threat in battles. I've fought against him multiple times and he's always tough to deal with. His key ability is boosting cooldown speed, which is a huge advantage. He's strong, but again, there are heroes that outperform him now. Two-Face is more of a support than a damage dealer. His key role is reducing the enemy's spiritual defense, which benefits any magic-based damage dealer. I haven't leveled him up much, so I haven't tested him thoroughly, but he could potentially be higher. Only 2 heroes from Arkham, Scarecrow and Two-Face, have this kind of support skill, while there are a lot of spiritual attackers in the game. Arsenal focuses on single target damage, but I found his damage output to be underwhelming. Maybe because I haven't fully built him yet. Even though he attacks one target up to 9 times, it's still random and not that effective. I don't think he should rank higher than Robin. Shazam dropped in this month's tier list because I discovered a major weakness. During his revival process, your team must have at least one ally still alive. If everyone is wiped out, he disappears too, and you lose. So his value isn't as high as I initially thought. Cyborg has also dropped one tier, not because he got weaker, but because someone stronger arrived. Superboy. Cyborg has a similar skill to Captain Cold, but it affects all enemies, increasing the physical damage they take. This is super helpful for AoE physical damage dealers, and even for single-target physical attackers. So that wraps up Tier B strong, versatile heroes, but still just a step below the best. Next up is Tier A. This tier includes heroes that are widely used and extremely effective. Many of them are top picks for both free-to-play players and competitive team compositions. Let's start with the Flash. He's a great support hero and very accessible for free players since you can buy his shards in the League store. He fits well into almost any team that has a strong damage dealer. He boosts attack and transfers energy to the highest damage ally, and helping them unleash their ultimate faster. With the arrival of Krypto, you can now direct Flash's support to Krypto, allowing him to use his ultimate more often, especially effective in Superman family teams. Mera is a strong healing support. She helps keep your team alive, and being a legendary hero, she's easier to star up compared to mythics. You can use her as a replacement for Poison Ivy or Raven. Of course, if you compare them at the same star level, Mera isn't as strong, but if you don't have shards for those heroes, Mera is a solid substitute. Harley Quinn is the first mythic hero you get after logging in for 7 days. She has solid damage and decent survivability. Her damage is even comparable to Superman. The problem is that her faction doesn't have many strong members to support her, so she's stuck in this tier due to lack of synergy. Batman has shown surprising damage potential recently. If you need a melee AoE damage dealer, he's a great option. His Batarang skill is especially effective against ranged enemies, and if you build him properly, he can take them out in the first few seconds of battle. Hawkgirl is a warrior who acts like a pseudo-tank. Her main role is to draw enemy focus toward her, buying time for her allies to attack. This ability is a double-edged sword. Like Red Hood and Shazam, she can put herself in a dangerous position. If she survives long enough, it gives your team an advantage. But if she's taken down quickly, you lose your frontliner early, which can cost you the fight. Green Arrow is a solid single-target damage dealer. While his skill damage looks low on paper, he fires 3 times at one target, making his total damage very respectable. Plus, you can choose his target, a big advantage over heroes like Robin and Arsenal. That targeting ability is what earns him a spot higher than them. Martian Manhunter originally seemed like a strong tank, possibly even tankier than Superman. But after testing him in the darkest timeline, I found that he actually survives less than Shazam. He might perform better in an Outsiders team, and pairing him with Justice League might have weakened him. Either way, I had to drop him 2 tiers. As a warrior, if you're not doing heavy damage, you at least need to be a reliable tank, and unfortunately, he's just average in both areas. Now let's talk about the 2 new heroes for July, Superboy and Krypto, both part of the Superman family. They've both done an excellent job in their support roles. They're not limited to Superman family teams, but they work best when used within that synergy. Superboy is ideal for physical damage teams. He reduces enemy defense and boosts the attack of your highest damage ally. If Supergirl is on your team, he will always prioritize her for the buff. Krypto provides healing and reduces the enemy's attack. And when used in a Superman family team, he also increases Krypton energy, making him an amazing support option. But if you're not planning to run a Superman family team, I'd recommend not investing in Krypto. It would be a waste of resources. That wraps up Tier A, some of the strongest and most versatile heroes in the game, just one step below the absolute best. Now we move on to Tiers, the home of heroes who excel in their roles and fit well into a wide range of team compositions. These heroes aren't just powerful individually, they're also versatile and impactful across multiple game modes. Zatanna is both an offensive and defensive support. She boosts attack and also reduces physical damage taken, making her one of the best all-around supports. What sets her above other support heroes is her faction, Justice League Dark, which is incredibly strong. Her synergy with this team makes her placement in Tier S absolutely justified. Green Lantern is an outstanding support who can both heal and shield allies. If a teammate is already at full HP, the healing is converted into a shield. He's powerful, but unfortunately only available through paid offers, which puts him out of reach for most free-to-play players. Still, based on his skill set alone, he clearly deserves to be in this tier. Wonder Woman WW was recently upgraded to Mythic Rarity, though I still only have her at Legendary. That said, she's incredibly strong. She often ends up as the last one standing in my matches, thanks to her high durability and sustain. She's easily one of the best tanks in the game right now, and her spot in Tier S is well-deserved. Dr. Fate and Raven, when used together, create a devastating combo. They give your team incredible survivability, especially when used in a Justice League Dark lineup. If you've ever faced a full JLD team, you know how tough they are to beat. I've placed all four JLD members in Tier S, and I think that's the right call based on how well they perform together. Scarecrow is a strong tank who not only survives well, but also helps his allies survive. He also reduces the enemy's men, which boosts spiritual damage from your team, a huge advantage if you're running magic-based attackers. Deathstroke is technically an assassin, and a very good one. But I'm keeping him in Tier S instead of SSS because while he's deadly, he has a specific limitation. He always targets the enemy with the highest attack stat. That means your opponent can manipulate team builds or equipment to lower their main attacker's attack value, essentially countering Deathstroke. Also, he needs a fair amount of investment to both survive and deal optimal damage. Poison Ivy has dropped down one tier, not because she's bad, but because a new hero has appeared who supports team survivability even better without any drawbacks. Ivy's main weakness is that she can unintentionally power up Joker. The vines she summons give Joker more targets to hit, increasing his damage, which can turn into a serious liability if you're not careful. That wraps up Tier S. Powerful, reliable heroes that shine in multiple roles and compositions and who bring tremendous value to any team. Now we've reached Tier SS, the absolute top tier in the game. These are the strongest heroes, most of them being the main damage dealers. They're essential to any team. Without at least one of them, it becomes incredibly difficult, sometimes even impossible, to win battles within the time limit. First is Constantine, an AoE damage dealer who applies burn across a massive area, often hitting every enemy on the field. Most importantly, his damage is extremely high, which earns him a well-deserved spot at the very top. Next is Joker, a damage overtime specialist. The longer the fight goes, the more damage he deals, and the more enemies get defeated, the stronger he becomes. He's especially effective against summon-heavy teams and is often used in boss battles to maximize long-term damage. Superman has remained consistently powerful since April, and no, I'm not biased. He's simply that good. He's a must-have hero from the very start of the game. As a melee damage dealer with strong survivability, he helps you power through early game challenges and remains relevant all the way into late game. Invest in him early, and he'll carry you far. Nightwing, the assassin from the Batman family, might seem weaker than Deathstroke at first glance, but don't be fooled. He has guaranteed critical hits, and when his crit rate exceeds 100%, the extra percentage is converted into bonus damage thanks to his legacy. When paired with a Batman family team, he can deal insane damage to backline enemies who often have low HP. His job is to eliminate hidden threats, and he does it well. Sinestro is a magical damage dealer on par with Constantine, but instead of burning everyone, he focuses on one main target and nearby enemies. His only drawback is that his skill targets are random in PvP, so you might not hit the enemy you want. But in other game modes, you can take full advantage of his power. He also generates energy on his own, allowing him to use his ultimate multiple times per battle, and even more frequently when paired with a Legion of Doom team. Supergirl might surprise some of you. Maybe you had her in Tier B or A before, and that made sense before Krypto was released. But now, with Krypto in the game, Supergirl gets massive support through Krypton energy, allowing her to use her skills more often. Her damage now rivals Constantine's, or just slightly below, and since she's a melee AoE dealer with huge burst potential, her placement here is well deserved. When supported by Krypto, she becomes an absolute powerhouse. And finally, Starfire, currently the best survivability support in the game, hands down. I'm confident in saying that. She not only heals, but also reduces the damage your team takes. This combination makes your team incredibly hard to kill, especially in long fights. Now, I know some of you might disagree with this tier list, and it's totally fine. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. Also, don't forget to join my crypto build video giveaway. I'll leave the link in the comments. Only one day left. Tomorrow, I'll roll the results and see who the lucky winner is.